They called her broken, worthless, a burden no decent man would shoulder. So the good people of Cedar Bluff, Wyoming, did what they thought was kindness. They shipped Clara Danvers off to the loneliest, bitterest cowboy in the territory. A man so deep in his own grief he had forgotten what hope tasted like. It was supposed to be a joke, a cruel arrangement for two people the world had already written off. But here is what those 47 townspeople did not count on. When you take two broken souls and put them together, something unexpected happens. The cracks in one sometimes fit perfectly against the cracks in another, and together they become stronger than either ever was alone. 18 months later, Clara rode back into that same town square, but she was not the same woman they had sent away. She came back with fire in her eyes, a son in her arms, and a husband who chose her when no one else would. What happened in those 18 months will make you laugh. It will make you cry. And it will remind you why you should never underestimate the people others have given up on. This is the story of how shame forged steel, how the unwanted built an empire from scraps, and how love found a way to bloom in the most barren ground. Stay with me until the end. I promise you will not regret it. This story carries a powerful truth we all need to hear. Your worth is not determined by what your body can or cannot do. Your value is not measured by the judgments of small-minded people. And your capacity to love is not broken just because someone once told you it was. Clara and Colt both believed they were incapable of real love. Both had been abandoned. Both had been told they were not enough. But they discovered something beautiful together. Family is not born. Family is chosen. And sometimes the deepest love grows not despite our wounds, but because of them. The lesson here is simple but profound. Stop counting your losses. Stop measuring your damage. Some things are simply too big to measure, and the people who try to count your worth will always come up short. If Clara's story touched your heart, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me what city or country you are watching from. Let me see how far this message of hope can travel. Now settle in and let me take you to Wyoming Territory, 1882. Where a woman the world forgot is about to become unforgettable. 47. Clara Danvers counted them without appearing to count, a skill her father taught her back at Fort Laramie. Assess before you react. Observe before you speak. 47 citizens of Cedar Bluff, Wyoming Territory had found reason to stand in the town square that October morning in 1882. Some pretended business. Most did not bother pretending. They had come to watch her leave. Clara stood beside the buckboard wagon with her possessions already loaded. 2 worn dresses, her father's leather medical bag, a quilt her mother stitched before the fever took her, a small wooden box holding letters from a dead husband, and a wedding ring she no longer wore. Wrapped in oilcloth at the bottom of her trunk lay a Colt Navy revolver. Nobody knew about the gun. That was intentional. The October wind cut through her thin shawl. She did not shiver, would not give them the satisfaction. Reverend Josiah Whitmore climbed onto the wagon seat and extended his hand to help her up. His smile carried that particular blend of pity and righteousness that Clara had come to recognize in the months since Dr. Morrison declared her barren. Broken, useless for the one purpose decent society believed women served. "This is a blessing, Clara," Whitmore's voice carried across the square, loud enough for the watchers to hear, a chance to be useful again. Clara kept her eyes on the horizon. Useful. Colt Avery needs help with his ranch. You need a home. The Lord provides. Does the Lord also provide explanations, Reverend, or just arrangements? His smile tightened. Gratitude, Clara. That is what is required now. She climbed onto the wagon without taking his hand. Behind her, a child asked his mother why the lady was going away. The mother shushed him. 2 women whispered behind gloved hands. A man spat in the dirt as Clara passed. 47 faces. She memorized each one. The wagon lurched forward, and Cedar Bluff began to shrink behind them. Clara did not look back. There was nothing in that town worth turning around for anymore. They called this charity, sending the infertile widow to the bitter hermit rancher 20 miles west, solving two problems with one arrangement. The town got rid of its embarrassment. Colt Avery got free labor. Everyone could congratulate themselves on their Christian kindness. Clara knew the truth. This was exile dressed in Sunday clothes. The journey took most of the day, 20 miles of increasingly rough terrain. Dried creek beds that should have held water. Dead cattle with distinctive marks that might mean disease or might mean poison. Clara noted everything. Memorized landmarks, escape routes if she needed them. Whitmore filled the silence with instructions. She would keep house, tend the garden, cook meals. Colt would provide room and board. She was to maintain absolute propriety. The arrangement was indefinite. Colt has been difficult since Rebecca passed. Whitmore said it casually. Does not come to town. Does not attend services. Some say he has lost his faith. And what do you say, Reverend? I say he has lost his way. Perhaps a woman's presence will remind him of God's grace. Clara thought perhaps you just needed somewhere to put me. She did not say it aloud. The Avery Ranch appeared through the afternoon light like a monument to neglect. The main house listed slightly to one side. The barn showed gaps where shingles had blown away. Fences leaned at angles that defied gravity. What had once been a garden was now a tangle of weeds and dead growth. This was her new home, this ruin in the middle of nowhere. Whitmore pulled the wagon to a stop. Nobody came to greet them. Clara climbed down without assistance and walked around the house looking for signs of life. She found Colt Avery behind the barn, digging. He was burying a horse. Not a fresh death, judging by the smell, but he was only now getting to it. He did not look up when Whitmore called his name. Mr. Avery. Whitmore's voice carried false cheer. We have arrived. The man kept digging. Dirt flew. Muscles moved under a sweat-stained shirt. He was tall, lean in the way of someone who forgot to eat regularly. Dark hair passed his collar. A beard that suggested he had stopped caring what mirrors showed him. Mr. Avery, this is... I know who she is. He drove the shovel into the dirt and leaned on it. Finally looked at them. Gray eyes, empty as old wells. Get her things inside. Room is upstairs. Room is... I will be in when I am done. Whitmore left within the hour, eager to escape before dark, eager to be free of his Christian duty. He did not say goodbye to Clara. Just climbed onto the wagon and drove away without looking back. Clara stood alone in the yard, watching Colt return to his work. The shovel rose and fell, rose and fell. She could wait for him, or she could start making this place livable. She chose the latter. The house smelled of old smoke and older loneliness. The kitchen was functional, but barely. One cast-iron skillet, minimal supplies. The main room held a cold fireplace and a single armchair. No photographs, no personal touches, no evidence that anyone had actually lived here rather than merely existed. She climbed the creaking stairs, found her room. Small, clean, empty. At the end of the hall, a door stood closed. She tried the handle. Locked. That night, Clara managed coffee and heated beans from what little she could find. Colt came in after dark, muddy, exhausted. He stopped when he saw the food on the table. Rules. He did not sit. Dawn breakfast, dusk dinner. Do not bother with noon. I am not here. Do not go in the room at the end of the hall. Do not ask questions you do not need answers to. And the garden. Something flickered across his face. Pain, maybe. Memory. Leave it. It is overgrown. Come spring it could... Leave it. He took his plate and ate standing at the window. Back to her. Clara ate alone at the table, listening to the silence of a house that had forgotten how to hold voices. Later that night she unpacked her things, spread her mother's quilt on the bed, opened her father's medical bag and checked each bottle and instrument. These were her weapons now. Through the thin walls, she heard Colt moving around downstairs. She crept to the top of the stairs and looked. He had made a pallet on the floor near the cold fireplace. He did not sleep in a bedroom. He slept like a man expecting attack, or a man who did not believe he deserved comfort. Clara returned to her room, lay in the dark, thought about the 47 faces in Cedar Bluff, the whispers, the pity, the contempt. They sent her here as a joke, the barren widow and the broken rancher. 2 problems solved with 1 arrangement. But Clara Danvers had survived worse than loneliness. She had survived seduction and betrayal, a desperate marriage to a man she did not love, a miscarriage that nearly killed her, a husband's death, public humiliation when the doctor announced her condition to anyone who would listen. She would survive this too, and someday, somehow, she would make those 47 faces remember her name. Days passed in parallel isolation. Clara and Colt developed routines specifically designed to avoid each other. She rose before dawn, left food on the table, disappeared to the chicken coop or the barn. He ate alone, left money on the table for supplies, worked until dark. They exchanged perhaps 10 words a day, but Clara watched, observed. Her father had taught her that survival depended on understanding your environment. So she studied Colt Avery the way she had once studied animal anatomy and wound treatment. Every morning he checked the horizon, facing east, toward Cedar Bluff, watching for something, or making sure something was not coming. He never entered the locked room at the end of the hall. He talked to the horses in low murmurs but rarely spoke to her. At night she heard him through the thin walls. Nightmares. Words she could not make out. Sounds that spoke of violence and regret. This was not a grieving widower. This was something else entirely. On the 9th day, Clara was mucking out the chicken coop when she heard sounds from the barn. Distressed, whinnying, a horse in pain. She grabbed her father's medical bag and ran. The mare was in labor, a beautiful animal with a chestnut coat now dark with sweat. Clara could see immediately that something was wrong. The foal was positioned badly. Without help, both would die. She did not hesitate. Rolled up her sleeves, spoke softly to the terrified animal. "Easy, girl. Easy. I know. She had done this before, at Fort Laramie with her father guiding her hands. The principles were the same whether you were saving a horse or a human. Assess the problem. Find the obstruction. Fix what you can fix. Clara knelt in the straw, reached inside the mare, found the twisted leg blocking the birth. The mare screamed and thrashed. Blood and fluids soaked Clara's dress. Sweat ran into her eyes. She found the leg, turned it, pulled. The foal slid free, wet and motionless. Clara cleared its nose, rubbed its chest, blew into its nostrils the way her father had taught her. Nothing. Again. The foal coughed, shuddered, drew its first breath. Clara sat back on her heels, trembling with exhaustion and relief. She watched the foal struggle to stand on wobbly legs, watched it find its mother, and begin to nurse. "Who taught you that?" She spun, her hand going to where her gun would be if she had worn it to the barn. Colt stood in the doorway, silhouetted against the dying light. She had no idea how long he had been watching. "My father, he was a veterinarian before he became a surgeon. Said the principles were the same. The principles. You save what you can. You let go what you cannot. You do not stop trying until you know the difference." Colt looked at the foal, then at the mare. Something shifted in his expression. Just slightly. That horse was Rebecca's. "I meant to let it die with the others. Then I apologize for interfering." "No," he said it quietly, almost to himself. "No, I do not think you do." He left without another word. But the next morning, Clara found fresh hay in the mare's stall, and grain she knew had not been there before. Later that week, Clara walked to the creek to fetch water and found someone already there, An older man, native, sitting by the water with a fishing line. He did not look up when she approached, but he knew she was there. "The cowboy knows I am here." Clara kept her hand near her pistol. "I did not say otherwise. You were thinking it." Now he looked at her, old eyes in a weathered face. "You were thinking, who is this Indian on Colt's land, and should I be afraid?" "Should I be? No. But you should be afraid of the water. It will be gone in 2 months, maybe 3. His name was Two Horses, Arapaho. He lived alone on the edge of Colt's land with Colt's unspoken permission. He had been there longer than Colt, longer than any white settler in the valley. He told Clara about the drought, worse than Colt realized or admitted. Colt's land had the only spring-fed water source in the valley. That made it valuable, dangerously valuable. Men have killed for less than water in a dry year. Clara asked about Colt. How long has he been like this? Like what? Dead inside. Two Horses was quiet for a long while. 3 winters. Since the woman left. Left. I thought people think many things. Most of them are easier than truth. He would not say more. But the word lodged in Clara's mind. Left. Not died. Left. That evening, Clara made a decision. Instead of leaving Colt's food and disappearing, she stayed. Sat at the table. Waited. He came in. Stopped when he saw her. "You do not have to sit down, Mr. Avery." Something in her voice made him sit. They ate in silence. But it was different now. Not the silence of avoidance. The silence of 2 people in the same room choosing not to flee. When he finished, he said, "The foal needs a name. You saved it. You choose." Clara thought about hope, about second chances, about things that should have died but lived anyway. Hope. Her name is Hope. Colt's jaw tightened, but he nodded once. And for the first time, he did not leave immediately after eating. He sat in his chair by the cold fireplace while Clara washed the dishes. 2 people sharing space without speaking. It was a start. That night, Clara checked on Hope before bed. The foal nuzzled her hand. In the stall beside them, the mare watched calmly. Returning to the house, Clara noticed something. The locked door at the end of the hall stood slightly open. Not much. An inch, maybe. Like someone had opened it and forgotten to close it completely. She did not investigate, not yet, but she filed it away. Another piece of the puzzle that was Colt Avery. A man who slept on the floor. Who let his ranch decay around him. Who kept a room locked for 3 years. A man who maybe had not lost his wife to death. A man who had been left behind. The drought tightened its grip on the valley like a fist. Creek beds that should have run clear turned to cracked mud. Grass that should have been green went brown and brittle. The cattle grew thin, the horses grew restless, and the tension between small ranchers and the big landowners began to simmer toward something dangerous. 6 weeks after Clara arrived, a fine carriage appeared on the road to the ranch. It looked wrong in this rough landscape. Too clean, too expensive. The horses pulling it were worth more than most men earned in a year. Silas Crenshaw had come to call. Clara watched from the kitchen window as Colt walked out to meet the carriage. She expected a villain from a dime novel. Twirling mustache, obvious cruelty. What she saw was something more unsettling. A weathered rancher in his 50s with tired eyes and a handshake that spoke of real work done decades ago. He looked like someone's grandfather, someone who might bounce children on his knee. That made him more dangerous, not less. Colt. Crenshaw dismounted and extended his hand. "Been too long, not long enough." "What do you want, Silas?" Colt did not take the offered hand to talk, man to man, about the future of this valley. Crenshaw's eyes swept the property, paused on Clara watching from the window. I see you have got help now. That is good. A man should not be alone. I am not interested in selling. I have not asked you to sell. You will. Crenshaw smiled. It did not reach his eyes. Your father and I drove cattle together in '62. He would have wanted you to be reasonable. My father is dead, so is his opinion. The conversation continued. Crenshaw made his pitch. The drought would get worse. Small ranchers would fail. He could offer a fair price for Colt's land, especially the spring-fed water source that made it valuable. Colt refused. Cold, flat, final. Before he left, Crenshaw looked at Clara through the window, made sure she knew he had seen her. "Ma'am, I hope you can help him see sense. This territory is hard on people who stand alone." After the carriage disappeared, Clara asked, "Is that a threat?" From Silas, everything is a threat. He just says it politely. 2 days later, Clara made her first trip to Cedar Bluff for supplies. The town's reaction was worse than she expected. Some people looked away when she passed. Others stared openly. Whispers followed her down the street like flies. At the general store, she encountered Margaret Hollister, a woman in her 40s who ran the boarding house. Sharp eyes, careful manner, the kind of woman who survived by watching and waiting. "You are the Danvers woman, Clara. I know your name." Maggie's eyes were cool, assessing. "Question is whether you know what you have gotten yourself into. I know I needed a place. I have one. You have a situation. That is different from a place." Clara noticed bruises on Maggie's wrists, half hidden by her sleeves. Maggie saw her notice. Neither said anything. But something passed between them. Recognition, maybe. Two women who understood what it meant to survive in a world that preferred them silent. At the church, Reverend Whitmore intercepted her. "How are you settling in? I hope Mr. Avery is treating you properly." "He leaves me alone. That is proper enough." Whitmore frowned. "The arrangement was for mutual benefit. If he is not, the arrangement, Reverend, is what it is. I do not need you to check on me. I am merely concerned. Be concerned about something else." But as Clara left, she noticed Whitmore watching Crenshaw's foreman across the street. There was tension there. History. Another piece she filed away. The hard freeze came early that year. Clara and Colt worked together for the first time, not by choice but by necessity, trying to save the cattle from the killing cold. They failed. Dawn revealed 12 dark shapes in the white snow, motionless, frozen where they stood. Colt stared at them, silent. "I should have brought them in sooner." His voice was rough. "You could not have known. I should have known. I have been—" He stopped. Whatever he meant to say, he swallowed it. They spent the day together, dragging carcasses, butchering what meat they could save, burning the rest. They did not talk, but they worked side by side, handing each other tools without asking, moving in coordination like they had done it for years. That evening, Clara sought out 2 horses, found him at his small camp on the edge of Colt's land. "I need information about Crenshaw." "You want to know about the Cowboy?" 2 horses poked his fire. "I want to know about Crenshaw." Same question, different door. He looked at her. "Crenshaw wants the water, wants the land. Has wanted it since before the woman left." Clara went still. "You said that before." "Left. Everyone in town says she died. Everyone in town says what Colt told them. Does not make it true. What is the truth?" 2 Horses was quiet for a long moment. Rebecca did not die. She took the child and went with another man. Cattle buyer from back east. Promised her things Colt could not give. Things. A life that was not empty. Words that were not silences. Everything Clara thought she understood shifted. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you look at him the way someone looks at a wounded animal. You are trying to decide if it can be saved. You should know what kind of wound you are dealing with, and what kind is it? The kind a man gives himself, the kind that does not heal because he will not let it." Clara returned to the ranch as the sun was setting. Found Colt sitting on the porch despite the cold, staring at nothing. She sat beside him, did not speak, did not try to comfort, just sat. After a long time, Colt said 12. I know. I am tired of counting what I have lost. Then stop counting. He looked at her, really looked, for the first time since she had arrived. I do not know how. Clara did not have an answer, but she stayed beside him until the stars came out. Two broken people sitting in the cold, not speaking, not touching, just existing in the same space. It was more than either of them had allowed themselves in a very long time. That night, Colt did not sleep on the floor. He sat in the armchair all night. And when Clara came down at dawn, he was still there, watching her descend the stairs with an expression she could not read. Something had changed. She did not know yet whether that change would save them or destroy them both. The dynamic between them shifted like ice breaking up in spring. Colt still did not speak much, but he no longer avoided Clara. They shared meals at the same table, worked in proximity without the careful distance that had marked their first weeks. The silence became something else. Not emptiness. Presence. And that terrified Clara more than loneliness ever had. She caught herself watching him one morning, through the kitchen window as he repaired a fence, the way he moved, competent, strong, broken in ways that did not show on the surface. Stop it, she told herself. You know what you're doing. But she did know. She had done it before with Thomas, the careful performance of care. The words that sounded right but meant nothing. She had married a good man and let him die thinking she loved him, when the truth was far more complicated. She could not do that again. She would not. So Clara pulled back, became more businesslike, more distant. Protection dressed as propriety. Colt noticed but did not understand. The confusion in his eyes when she stopped sitting with him after dinner. The way his jaw tightened when she answered in single words. She was hurting him. She knew that. Better to hurt him now than destroy him later. The blizzard came in late December. Trapped them inside for 3 days. No escape, no distance. Just two people and the howling wind. On the second night, Colt produced a bottle of whiskey. Christmas was 2 weeks ago. Clara looked up from her mending. I noticed. I did not think to say anything. Should have. You do not owe me holidays. No, but I owe you honesty. He poured 2 glasses, handed her one. You know about Rebecca. Clara's needle stopped. 2 horses told me. I was not going to. I know you were not. That is why I am telling you myself. What followed was the first real conversation between them. Colt talked about meeting Rebecca. How he thought he had finally outrun his years as a Texas Ranger. The things he had seen, the violence he had witnessed and sometimes participated in. A massacre of a Comanche village that still haunted his nightmares. Rebecca was supposed to be his fresh start. A new life. A chance to be someone other than a man who knew how to kill. She grew distant, complained about his silences, his nightmares, the way he would disappear inside himself for days at a time. Then she met Harlan Shaw, a cattle buyer, wealthy, charming. Everything Colt was not. She told me she was taking Rose and leaving. Colt stared into his glass. I just let her go. You did not fight for them. I did not know how. He looked at Clara. She was right about me. I do not know how to be what people need. I tried with her, tried to be present, tried to be enough, was not. Maybe she was not trying either. She was. For years she was. I just could not meet her there. The whiskey burned warm in Clara's throat. She should stop here, should maintain the distance she had worked so hard to build. Instead, she heard herself speak. The baby was not Thomas's. Colt went still. Clara told him everything. The officer at Fort Laramie who seduced her when she was 18. Captain Marcus Whitfield. Married. Charming. He promised things he never intended to deliver. When Clara discovered she was pregnant, he refused to acknowledge her. Thomas Danvers was a lieutenant who had loved Clara from afar. When he learned of her situation, he offered to marry her, claim the child as his own, save her from ruin. She accepted, not from love, from desperation. I lost the baby during a raid on the fort. Clara's voice was steady. She had learned to tell this story without breaking. Fell from a horse while we were fleeing. Thomas died 6 months later in a skirmish. Never knew the truth. Did you care about him at all? Clara stared at the amber liquid in her glass. The question she had been asking herself for years. I do not know. I think I performed caring so well I could not tell the difference. That is what scares me. Scares you. What if I am still doing it? What if every feeling I have is just survival instinct dressed up as something nicer? For the first time, they saw each other's wounds clearly. Two people who had failed at love, who feared they were incapable of it, who had been told by the people closest to them that they were broken beyond repair. The next morning, Clara woke to find Colt gone. His coat was still by the door, so he was inside somewhere. She found the locked door at the end of the hall standing open. Inside was a child's room, perfectly preserved. A small bed, a rag doll, a half-finished embroidery and a hoop. Rebecca's work, abandoned. Colt sat on the floor, back against the wall, holding a tiny dress. Clara did not speak, just sat down beside him. Rose would be 5 now. His voice cracked. I do not know what she looks like, do not know if she remembers me. Do you want to find her? I want her to be happy, wherever she is, whoever she is with. He folded the dress carefully. I do not have the right to disrupt that. You are her father. I am the man who let her mother take her without a fight. That is not the same thing. Clara took his hand. He let her. They sat there for a long time, in the room that held all of Colt's grief, all his failure, all his shame. It was the most intimate moment Clara had ever shared with anyone. Later that week, she made a supply run to Yates' trading post, a rough establishment she had been avoiding. Rougher men, rougher business. Inside, she saw something that stopped her cold. A girl, native, maybe 15 or 16. Chained near the back of the store, bruises on her face, eyes that held nothing. The stillness of someone who had stopped hoping for rescue. She is not for sale. Edmund Yates appeared beside Clara. His smile made her skin crawl. Well, she is, but not to someone like you. Clara looked at him. Something about his face was familiar, but she could not place it. What is her name? Does not have one. Not one that matters. Clara bought her supplies and left. But she did not forget those eyes. The chain, the bruises. 3 times now, she had watched someone suffer and done nothing. Thomas, the child she lost. Now, this girl. What did it say about her that survival always won? She did not sleep that night. By morning, she had made a decision. She told Colt at breakfast, I need money, and I need the wagon. Why? Because I'm going to do something stupid, and I would rather do it with your help than without it. Clara returned to Yates' trading post the next day. This time she was prepared. Colt waited outside with the wagon, visible but not interfering. His presence was enough to make Yates think twice about anything too foolish. Changed your mind. Yates smiled when he saw Clara. She is still available. Though I should warn you, she has been difficult. I am used to difficult. How much? For you. Let us say $40. It was robbery. Clara knew it. She paid anyway, counted out the coins carefully. She is my property now. Where is the key? Key. To the chain. Yates's smile widened. Chain is included. Key is extra. Clara pulled her pistol, placed it on the counter between them. The click of the hammer was loud in the sudden silence. Key. He gave her the key. Outside, Colt helped the girl into the wagon. She did not speak, did not resist, moved like someone who expected pain and had learned that cooperation hurt less. Clara climbed up beside her, wrapped her own shawl around the girl's thin shoulders. "You are safe now. I know you do not believe that, but you will." The girl said nothing, just stared at the horizon with eyes that had seen too much. Back at the ranch, they put the girl in a spare room in the barn, cleaned out and made comfortable. Clara named her Nettie because she had to call her something. The girl neither accepted nor rejected the name, but comfort did not equal trust. Over the following weeks, Nettie tested them. Food disappeared from the kitchen. She was hoarding it, expecting starvation. The chickens got loose because she had opened the coop. Clara's medical bag was moved, contents disorganized, small sabotages, waiting to see what punishment would come. "She does not trust us," Colt observed one evening. "Would you?" "No. Then we wait. We keep feeding her. Keep not hitting her. Eventually, she will run out of reasons to expect the worst. And if she does not, then at least she is warm and fed while she waits for the blow that never comes." The breakthrough came unexpectedly. Clara was treating a cut on her own hand. Kitchen accident. She was sitting at the table with the needle and thread when she felt eyes on her. Nettie stood in the doorway, watching. "Do you want to learn?" Clara held up the needle. Nettie's eyes moved from Clara's hand to the supplies to Clara's face, searching for the trap. "My father taught me." Clara kept her voice calm. "His father taught him. Good skill to have." Still, Nettie did not move. Clara went back to her work, narrating quietly. "Clean first, always. Infection kills more than injury. Then you assess the damage." She did not notice when Nettie crossed the room, only when a small hand reached for the thread. "Show me." 2 weeks later, Clara noticed changes in Nettie's body. Morning sickness, weight gain in specific places, tenderness she tried to hide. Clara did not ask, just waited. Finally, Nettie told her, not in words, by placing Clara's hand on her belly. "How long?" Nettie held up 4 fingers, then 5 months, a nod. The men at the trading post. Something in Nettie's eyes went flat. She nodded again. Clara pulled her into an embrace. Nettie stiffened, then collapsed against her, shaking with silent sobs. That night, Clara told Colt, "If the town finds out, they will not. If they do, Clara, they will take her. Or worse. Then we make sure they do not find out. How? We keep her hidden until the baby comes. Then we figure out the next step." Colt studied her for a long moment. "You know this could destroy us both. Everything we have built here." "I know. Then why?" Clara thought about the girl in the chain, about Thomas who saved her when no one else would, about her own lost child who never had a chance. "Because someone did it for me once, and I could not save him. But maybe I can save her." 2 horses arrived the next day with supplies, herbs for pregnancy. Knowledge passed down through generations of healers. "The girl is Shoshone, northern band, mostly gone now." He looked at Clara. "You are taking a risk." "I know. Good. Risks taken blind get people killed. Risks taken open-eyed sometimes save them." That night, Clara was organizing the receipt from Yates, trying to keep records in case anyone questioned the purchase. She looked at the signature, the handwriting, and her blood went cold. She had seen that handwriting before, on letters that arrived at Fort Laramie, addressed to Captain Marcus Whitfield. Edmund Yates was Whitfield's brother, the man who had ruined Clara's life, the man who had seduced her and abandoned her. His brother owned the trading post. His brother had kept Nettie in chains. Clara sat very still for a long time. Then she added this information to the file she was building in her mind. Another weapon, another piece of evidence, Another connection between the cruelty of her past and the cruelty of her present. Someday she would use it, but not yet. Not until she was ready. The baby grew inside Nettie. Spring crept toward the valley, and Clara began to understand that the life she was building here was worth fighting for, whatever that fight might cost. Spring should have brought relief. Instead, it brought escalation. The drought had not broken. Crenshaw's desperation had grown. His tactics shifted from persuasion to pressure. Colt's cattle were found on Crenshaw's land. Strayed through cut fences, ransom demanded. Supplies from town became harder to get. Merchants claimed shortages that did not exist. 2 horses was attacked on the road to his camp, beaten, left for dead. He survived but barely. It will get worse. 2 horses spoke from his recovery bed in the barn. He wants you to break, to sell. When you do not, he will try to take. Let him try. Words cowboy. Easy to say. Hard to live. Clara began digging into Crenshaw's business, using trips to town as cover. Maggie Hollister finally trusted her enough to share what she knew. Yates operates without proper territorial license. Maggie's voice was low. He has been trafficking in captive natives, highly illegal even by territorial standards. Why did you not tell someone? Maggie's laugh was bitter. Tell who? The sheriff is in Crenshaw's pocket, the territorial marshal is 300 miles away, and I am a widow with no proof. You have proof now. Maggie produced a ledger, stolen from Crenshaw's office during a party she had catered. Names, dates, amounts. Everything he has paid Yates. Everything Yates has paid him. Clara took the ledger. This could put them both in prison. Could. If you can get it to someone who matters. June came hot and dry. Nettie went into labor 2 weeks early. Clara delivered the baby with 2 horses assisting. His knowledge of traditional birth practices filled the gaps in her training. Colt stood guard outside with his rifle, ready for anything. 12 hours. Complications that made Clara's hands shake. A moment when she thought she would lose them both. Then a boy's cry split the air. Nettie looked at her son. Clara watched Nettie's face, searching for rejection, for the trauma the child represented. What she saw was more complicated. Love, pain, fear, wonder, all at once. Healthy, Clara said. Strong, like his mother. Nettie touched the baby's face. Tears fell. I do not know how to love what they gave me. You do not have to know how. You just have to try. 2 weeks after the birth, Nettie made her decision. She had been caring for the baby, nursing him, holding him through the night. But Clara had seen her watching the horizon. Restless. There are Shoshone North, survivors, 2 horses knows where. Clara nodded. She had known this was coming. If I go, I cannot take him. The journey is too hard. He's too small. And Nettie's voice broke. Every time I look at him, I see them. What they did, I love him and I hate what he came from. Is that wrong? No. That is human. Will you keep him? Clara's heart stopped. Nettie, that is a decision you cannot... I have decided. Nettie looked at her with eyes far older than 15. You saved me. Saved him. You will love him without seeing ghosts. I cannot do that. Not yet. Maybe not ever. What if someday you want him back? Then I will come back. And if you have loved him well, I will be grateful. And if you have not... Something fierce crossed her face. Then I will take him, and you will never see either of us again. 2 horses prepared to leave with Nettie. Clara held the baby. Her son now, whether she was ready or not. Colt stood beside her, did not touch her. But his presence said, I am here. We are in this together. He needs a name, Clara said. You should choose. No, we should choose. Colt looked at the baby, at Clara, at the empty space where Nettie had disappeared into the morning mist. We will think of something. Together. That night, one of Crenshaw's men delivered a message, carved into a fence post. Sell now or lose everything. You have 1 week. The week passed. Colt did not sell. Crenshaw made good on his threat. They came at night. 6 men. They burned the hay barn, shot 2 horses, killed Hope, the foal Clara had saved, slit her throat and left her in her stall. They carved a message into the porch rail. Last chance. Colt and Clara fought back. She wounded one with her pistol. Colt killed another. The rest fled into the darkness. But the damage was done. Dawn revealed the destruction. The barn gone. Hope dead. 2 horses' cabin burned to ash. He and Nettie were already gone, at least. That was something. Clara stood in the ashes, the baby crying in her arms. We can rebuild. No. Colt's voice was flat. We cannot. Not before they come back. And they will come back. So we fight. Clara. He turned to her. Eyes that had been empty when she arrived now held something else. Fear. Not for himself, for her. They are not trying to kill me. They are trying to break me. If you and the baby are here, they will use you to do it. I am not leaving. You have to. Their first real fight. Clara refused to go. Colt insisted. This is my home too now. It is a death trap. Crenshaw knows about Nettie, knows about the baby. He's going to use that. The half-breed child. The illegal purchase from Yates. He will destroy us both if we stay together. Then we go together. And leave what? Crenshaw takes the land, takes the water. Every small rancher in this valley loses. Everything we have fought for. Gone. I do not care about the valley. I care about you. Colt went still. Clara realized what she had said. The admission neither of them had been ready to make. I care about you, about us, about this family we have somehow built. I am not going to lose that. You will lose it anyway if you die, or if the baby dies, or if they put you in the territorial prison for harboring Nettie. So what is your plan? You stay, fight, probably die. And I run. You run. You take the baby to Cheyenne. You build a new life. And you, I will send word when it is safe. And if you do not, if you die here alone. Colt's jaw tightened. Then you will know because no word comes, and you will move on. I will not. You will, because that is what survivors do, and you are a survivor, Clara, maybe the strongest I have ever known. The morning she left, he handed her a bag of money. Everything I have. I do not want... Take it, for him. He looked at the baby. For both of you. What do I tell people in Cheyenne? Tell them you are a widow. Your husband died. The baby is yours. And my name. Colt hesitated, then reached into his pocket, pulled out a gold ring. Avery. Tell them you are Clara Avery. Something cracked in her chest. We are not married. In my heart we are. If that counts for anything, it counts for everything. They did not kiss, did not embrace, just stood together in the early light. 2 people who had found each other in wreckage and were being torn apart by the same forces that brought them together. Clara climbed into the wagon. The baby fussed in his basket. Come back, she said. Whatever happens, come back, I will. She did not believe him, but she drove away anyway. She did not look back. Could not bear to see him shrinking in the distance, standing alone in front of a burned ruin. The journey to Cheyenne took 3 days. Bad roads, fear, a crying baby. Clara talked to the baby during the quiet stretches. Your father is a stubborn fool, you will learn that soon enough. Gets it from living alone too long. Thinks he has to carry everything himself. The baby gurgled. We are going to prove him wrong, you and me. We are going to survive. And then we are going to go back and drag him out of whatever mess he has made. She did not name the baby. Not yet. That felt like something they should do together, if there was still a together to be had. Cheyenne appeared on the horizon. A real city. Trains, buildings, strangers everywhere. She had never felt more alone. Clara walked into a boarding house, baby in arms. "I need a room, long term." The proprietress looked her over. "Widow, yes." Clara put on the ring Colt had given her. "Rebecca's ring. My husband recently passed. I am sorry for your loss." Clara looked at the baby, at the gold band on her finger. "So am I." Cheyenne was everything Cedar Bluff was not. Crowded, noisy, anonymous. Clara disappeared into it gratefully. She found work at an apothecary, using the medical knowledge her father had taught her. The owner, Dr. Aldous Crane, was elderly and half-blind, grateful for competent help. She rented a small room, cared for the baby, waited for word from Colt. None came. 3 weeks? 4? 5? She told herself no news was good news. Told herself Colt was simply being careful, waiting until it was safe to write. She did not believe herself. But she kept working, kept the baby fed, kept putting one foot in front of the other. Because that was what survivors did. A complication arose. George Hartley, a railroad clerk. He began courting Clara. He was everything Colt was not. Cheerful, talkative, stable. He brought flowers, brought small toys for the baby, offered respectable security. "You should not be alone, Mrs. Avery. A woman with a child needs—" "I know what I need, Mr. Hartley. George. Please. George." She softened slightly. He was kind, truly kind. "I appreciate your attention, but I am not ready. Your husband is gone, but not forgotten. Not yet." Clara recognized the temptation. George would be easy to love, or easy to pretend to love. Survival dressed as choice. But she was done pretending. She wrote that night. Another letter that would never be sent. "I met someone today who would be good for me. Easy, safe. And all I could think was that his hands were too soft and his eyes were the wrong color. I hate you for that. For making everyone else seem wrong. Come back. Please. Just come back." Clara did not just wait. She prepared. Using Dr. Crane's connections and Cheyenne's territorial records, she researched everything she could find. Yates Trading Post operated without proper license. Violation of territorial commerce law. Crenshaw's land acquisitions showed irregularities. Several appeared fraudulent. The trafficking of native captives was a federal crime under the 1862 statute, rarely enforced, but still a crime. She built a case, document by document, preparing for a battle she was not sure she would ever fight. 6 months in Cheyenne, still no word. She sat by the window one night, baby sleeping in her arms, snow falling outside. If he is dead, I will know, because no word comes. No word had come. But she refused to believe it, refused to give up. "I will give you until spring. If I have not heard by then, I am coming back anyway. And God help whoever stands between us." Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Colt was fighting a war. Crenshaw's men attacked twice more. Colt repelled them each time. But it cost. Food ran low. Ammunition dwindled. A bullet grazed his ribs in the second attack. The wound festered. He treated it himself badly. He survived on stubbornness and ranger training. But he was running out of time. Night 11, or 12. He had lost count. He sat in the darkness of the burned-out barn, rifle across his knees, listening for hoofbeats. Clara's face swam before him. The baby's cry echoed in his memory. "They are safe," he told himself. "Whatever happens here, they are safe." That was all that mattered. Then 2 horses appeared, alone. He had delivered Nettie to her people and come back. "You should have stayed with the Shoshone." Should have, did not. 2 horses surveyed the damage. "Looks like you need help. I need a miracle." "No miracles, just an old man with a rifle. That enough?" Colt almost smiled. It will have to be. Crenshaw sent an ultimatum. Sell within 24 hours, or his men would level what remained. That same night, Crenshaw's foreman found 2 horses. Beat him bloody. Left him for dead. Colt found him at dawn. Blood bubbling at his lips. Can you ride if you tie me to the horse? Colt faced a choice. Stay and defend the land, or save his friend. The land his father settled. The water everyone needed. The only thing he had left. He looked at 2 horses, at the burned ruins, at the ashes of everything he had built. Then we are leaving. He loaded 2 horses onto a horse, set fire to the house himself. The flames caught fast. Dry timber, old dreams. Colt watched it burn. Everything he had built, everything he had lost, gone now. Crenshaw would get nothing but ashes, and Colt would get something more valuable, the chance to live, to find Clara, to be a father to a child who needed one. The land stays. 2 horses murmured. People disappear. You told me that before. Wanted to see if you were listening. Colt turned his horse east, toward Cheyenne. I am coming, Clara. Just hold on. Winter in Cheyenne. Clara had nearly given up hope when the knock came at her door. She opened it with her pistol ready. Colt stood there, gaunt, bearded, a new scar across his face. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Clara reached out, touched his face, confirmed he was real. You look terrible, you look beautiful. That is the exhaustion talking. Clara. His voice broke. I am sorry it took so long. She pulled him inside, checked the hallway, closed the door. Are you hurt? Healing. 2 horses needs a real doctor. He is at the stable. Could not make it up the stairs. The ranch. Gone. Burned it myself. Crenshaw gets nothing. Clara absorbed this. The man she loved had sacrificed everything, rather than surrender. Good. Now sit down before you fall down. I will make coffee. Then you will tell me everything. Over the next days, they shared information. Clara's research on Crenshaw's illegal activities, Colt's knowledge of Crenshaw's desperation, his son dying in Denver, the violence he was willing to employ, and Maggie's ledger, the key to bringing him down legally. This is enough. Clara spread papers across the table. If we get this to the territorial marshal, Marshall is in Crenshaw's pocket. Then we go higher, the territorial governor, or the court in Cheyenne. You think they will listen to us? A burned-out rancher and a woman with a half-breed baby. They will listen to evidence, and we have evidence. 2 horses recovered slowly under Dr. Crane's care. He added his own testimony, willing to swear to what he had witnessed. Before they could execute their plan, Crenshaw came to Cheyenne. Clara saw him in the street. Their eyes met. He knew who she was. She did not run, did not hide. Instead, she walked toward him. Mrs. Avery. Crenshaw tipped his hat. Long way from Cedar Bluff. So are you, Mr. Crenshaw. Business brings me. The territorial assessor has questions about some property transfers. His eyes were cold. Your husband's property, actually. Or what is left of it. My husband is alive and well, as you seem to know. For now. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. I am going to make you an offer, Mrs. Avery. One time. Walk away. Take your cowboy, take your mongrel baby. Disappear. I will not follow, and if I refuse, then I will use every resource I have to destroy you both. The trading post purchase alone. Buying a human being however you justify it. That is enough to put you in the territorial prison. And the child. Evidence of harboring a fugitive. They will take him. Put him in one of those schools back east. Clara's blood ran cold, but she kept her voice steady. You have made a mistake, Mr. Crenshaw, have I? You have assumed I am afraid of you. I am not. I have survived things that would break men twice your size, and I have spent the last 6 months preparing for this exact moment. She turned and walked away, felt his eyes on her back like a rifle sight, but she did not look back. That night, Clara and Colt and 2 horses gathered around the baby. We cannot keep calling him the baby, Clara said. He needs a name. Colt held the boy, studying his face. What did Nettie want? She did not say. Wanted us to choose. Then Thomas. Colt looked at Clara. After your father, the one who taught you everything that has kept you alive. Clara had expected him to suggest his own name, or Thomas, her late husband. My father. He made you who you are. Seems right his name should carry on. She thought about her father, his steady hands, his quiet voice. The way he taught her to save lives without ever making it seem like a burden. Thomas, she said softly. Tommy, when he is small. She took the baby from Colt, held him close. Hello, Tommy. Welcome to the family. The next morning, Clara walked into the territorial courthouse with Maggie's ledger and all her evidence. Colt walked beside her. 2 horses behind them. They were no longer running. They were fighting. The legal battle played out over months. No gunfights, no showdowns, just paperwork, testimony, waiting. The territorial court in Cheyenne heard the case. Unlawful land acquisition, trafficking in native captives, conspiracy to commit arson and assault. Maggie testified about her husband's death, the ledger she had stolen. 2 horses gave testimony about the attacks, his treatment by Crenshaw's men. Clara presented documentation of Yates's illegal operation. Then the twist. Reverend Whitmore appeared. He had traveled from Cedar Bluff, not to support Crenshaw, to testify against him. Why are you here, Reverend? The judge asked. Whitmore looked older, smaller. Because I was wrong, Your Honor. Wrong about Mrs. Avery. Wrong about what Christian charity means, and wrong about the kind of man I was helping by looking the other way. You are aware your testimony implicates yourself. Yes, sir. I am. I have made peace with that. Whitmore revealed how Crenshaw had manipulated the town, used Whitmore's charitable arrangements to remove inconvenient people, bribed local officials. Crenshaw was convicted of land fraud and trafficking-related charges, sentenced to 8 years in the Wyoming Territorial Prison at Laramie. Yates received 5 years for operating without license and trafficking charges. As they led Crenshaw away, he caught Clara's eye. This is not over. Yes, she said. It is. Victory did not come free. 2 horses' injuries had taken their toll. In the weeks after the trial, he faded. Clara sat beside his bed. He had refused the hospital. You could recover, if you let the doctors. I have seen enough of white medicine. No offense, little doctor. None taken. He was quiet for a while. Tell the cowboy something for me. Tell him yourself. He is in the other room. No, this is for you to deliver. After. 2 horses died on a Tuesday morning, peacefully, Clara holding one hand, Colt the other. His last words were for Colt. Do not let her leave again. They buried him in the Cheyenne cemetery with an Arapaho ceremony 2 horses had taught them. Imperfect. They were not his people, did not know all the words, but they tried. Spring came. Clara and Colt and Tommy returned to Cedar Bluff. The town had changed. Some faces gone, some new ones arrived. News of Crenshaw's conviction had spread. Clara walked into the town square, same place she had stood 18 months before. She counted without meaning to. 32 people this time, fewer than before. Some looked away. Some stared. A few nodded. Maggie, the blacksmith, the woman who ran the general store. Something like respect. Colt walked beside her, Tommy in his arms. You want to say something to them? No. Clara kept walking. I am done speaking for their benefit. They passed through town without stopping, headed west, toward the land that was still legally Colt's, even burned, even damaged. 6 months later, the ranch was being rebuilt, slowly, by hand. The house was small but solid. The barn stood again. Clara worked in the garden, new soil, new seeds, a future she was planting. Tommy now walking badly toddled toward Colt returning from the far pasture. He is getting faster, Colt observed, scooping up the boy. He is getting into everything, like his mother. Clara smiled. A rider approached. They both tensed. Old habits, but it was only Maggie. Come to visit. She had opened a new boarding house with money from Crenshaw's seized assets. The town is different now, Maggie said over coffee. Not good exactly, but different. People are talking about what happened, about what they let happen. Does it matter? Probably not. But it is a start. That evening, Clara and Colt sat on their new porch, watching the sun set over the valley. Rebecca came back. Clara went still. Last year, while you were in Cheyenne, she came to the ranch. Wanted to. I do not know what she wanted. What did you tell her? Colt was quiet for a long moment. I told her I already had a family. Clara processed this. All the questions she could ask, all the jealousy she could feel. What she actually felt was peace. What did she say? She said she was glad, that I deserved to be happy. He paused. She was with Rose. Rose is 8 now. Does not remember me. Does that hurt? Yes. He took her hand. But it does not break me anymore. That is your doing. I did not do anything. You stayed, I left, and came back. That is the staying that counts. Tommy appeared in the doorway, demanding attention. Clara picked him up, settled him on her lap. The church bell in Cedar Bluff rang, distant, carried on the wind. What do you think they are marking? Colt asked. Does it matter? No, just curious. Clara looked at the man beside her, the child in her arms, the land around them, scarred but healing. I used to count everything, people at my trial, days without letters, things I had lost. I thought if I counted carefully enough, I could keep track of the damage. And now I have stopped counting. She leaned into him. Some things are too big to measure. They sent her away as a joke, the infertile widow, shipped off to the bitter hermit as a solution to 2 problems. They expected her to disappear, to fail, to confirm everything they believed about broken people and their limited worth. Instead, she came back with a son in her arms, and a husband who chose her. She came back having survived things that would have destroyed lesser souls. She came back and looked them in the eye, and did not flinch. Clara Avery did not need Cedar Bluff's approval, did not need their apology or their admiration. She only needed what she had found, a man who saw her whole, a child who needed her, a home she built from ashes and determination. The rest was just noise. And the noise finally had stopped. This content was carefully researched, developed and manually edited by our team to deliver meaningful stories with valuable life lessons. Every narrative is crafted to entertain, inspire, and empower our audience. We believe that great stories can change lives, and we are committed to bringing you content that matters. Thank you for being part of our community.